The Entrepreneur's Library, episode 221.
Welcome to the Entrepreneur's Library, the only book-centric podcast that reviews all the top-selling business books and shares authors' perspective firsthand. This is your resource to finding the next great book that will enable you to grow personally and professionally. Welcome your host, Wade Danielson.
Welcome back to the EL. Today we have Jay Massey, author of Cash Flow Diary, 10 Steps to Creating Wealth in Any Economy. One of my favorite things about this book is Jay, again, we're bringing on these fantastic authors that aren't just writing about one particular topic, but also giving you the mindset and the attitude behind what it actually takes to be successful. So he's got a lot of nuggets in here. Fantastic interview. Another great author. So let's bring on Jay. Welcome, Jay, and thank you for joining us on the Entrepreneur's Library.
I am glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Definitely. Before we take a deep dive into your book, Cash Flow Diary, will you take just a moment to introduce yourself? Tell us just a little bit about you personally.
Well, sure. I'm probably like nearly every other entrepreneur where you wake up one day and say, I want something better, more than what I currently am experiencing for myself and my wife. What that meant is when she's pregnant, she has a condition known as hyperemesis. It means she can't eat or drink. I punctured my lung. I couldn't walk and talk as a response because I was trying to blow off steam and make life less stressful. So we ended up squatting in bank-owned property, was unable to, we were making decisions like, do we keep the electricity on or food? And it was around that time a friend said, hey, you should become a real estate investor, which of course with a credit score of 398 was the obvious answer. And wanting to provide more for my family was the idea. It was like, if I can't go to work, how do we eat? And that was when self-employment failed for me. And, today, fortunately, we have, 4 children, some is, in college, all the way down to elementary school. And we get to live life in a completely different fashion because of it. I spend a significant amount of time. My kids might say too much time with them, but that's part of what we wanted and what we hopefully get to always do when we go out there to create a great service or product for individuals.
Wow, that's extremely inspiring. And I know there's a lot of people aspiring to do that exact same thing. So first off, thank you for sharing that. And
Sure.
And now let's figure out how you did that. Let's jump into your book, Cash Flow Diary, 10 Steps to Creating Wealth in Any Economy, which was originally made available for purchase back in March of 2014. So just came upon its year anniversary not too long ago. And
Yes, it's a year old.
Jay, we're going to move quickly.
Sure.
But our whole goal here today is to cover those top questions that the listener and future reader would like to get answered. And the first one is, what was the inspiration behind writing Cash Flow Diary?
I was inspired to write it because I kept getting the same questions over and over again. And I didn't know how to keep answering them differently. Plus, the book can be in more places than I can. But Cash Flow Diary exists simply because I wanted to document this process for my kids. That was the original impetus is, hey, if I was to pass away, because that's what happened. I had 2 business mentors pass away, and I was thinking, what would I leave my kids? Sure, they might get a bunch of real estate, but would they know what to do with it? Do they understand business and people and sales and all the concepts necessary? So I started Cash Flow Diary as a manual. It's a step-by-step, here's what you do to make business happen. And when I started getting the same questions, we decided to put those questions into the book.
So you and I talked beforehand about how many books come out for the entrepreneur and entrepreneur every single day, every single month. And so this next question is so important, and that we're asking, what makes your book different from the others regarding, the same or similar topic?
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Well, I will tell you this. People tell me what makes my book different is the amount of quality information that they have heard is available for many thousands of dollars elsewhere. But not just the information. You can go to a library and get more information. It's the actual instruction and what to do with it and how to interpret it. Many books are filled with data and information. Very few books are filled with interpretation, i.e., here's what you do with what you just learned so that you can go out there and generate a result. I dare someone to read this book, not to follow the instructions and not to generate a result.
No, that's huge. And Jay, how did you write the book to be read? I know that sounds kind of weird. So I guess,
Sure.
Is this one that they can jump in and jump out based on information that they need at that moment, kind of skipping around your book? Or did you really write it to be read from front to back?
Yeah, you can skip around in chapters. However, I always recommend you go through it first at the beginning. You've just got to go through all of it, because what's going to happen is that the concepts build on each other in succession. Chapter 9 is going to be the chapter that you're going to love the most, whether you're an experienced business owner or investor, etc. Because that's the one where I'm always showing you our greatest technique for going out there to raise capital for your business. In order to understand how to do and use that properly, however, you're going to need the concepts between chapters 2 through 8. So once you've gone through it once, skip around all you like.
Excellent. That makes it so much easier for a reader. And that we implemented that question a while back, because it really is. Everyone writes them differently. Some people have talked about how they just kind of put a lot of their blogs together, and so it's easy to jump in and jump out. But It's nice to know that it builds upon itself. Jay, we're to my favorite part of the entire interview. And this is where I can hand over the mic and really just allow you to give the future reader a great idea of what they can expect to get out of your books. Will you take the next 5 to 8 minutes and do that?
Would love to, because I think it's important that individuals understand that the part of the book, just understand the frame of mind that I was in. I'm thinking, hey, at the time my kids were, 16 all the way down to 1 year old, etc. And I'm trying to leave a manual for them to be able to, quote unquote, run the business and be able to build any business that they so wanted to do. So it was written, and everything is written from that standpoint, so that they can interpret the world properly to go out there to create a business from scratch or run something that's currently existing. Here's the point. There are so many more skill sets beyond the technical that are required that are not taught in traditional education that I had to learn just on the street. And that's the key, is if you've ever wondered, how does it really work from the inside, street level, person to person, face to face? That's what you're going to get. This isn't, I'm a college dropout, so I don't have an MBA or any of those things. This is written for the person who, even if you have the MBA and you're still wondering, how come I'm so smart, but I can't get business done? That's what we're talking about. And we go through that step by step. For the person who's never been in business, and like, how do I generate a lead, and what's a customer, and why are they going to listen to me? To the person who's like, hey, how do I write an offer, and what on earth am I going to sell anyway? Let alone, why is anyone going to buy it, and how do I get them to keep buying it? How do I actually build a business as opposed to just sell a product? Many people can at least sell a product, but how do I build a business, and how do I get that team? And that becomes a very, very important conversation piece. Is you're not going to do this alone, but you got to have the correct mindset as you attack it to go there. One of the most important concepts in the book, and this is something that I believe our educational system fails to prepare us for, is literally how to fail. Most of us don't know how. And you're going to experience failure. In fact, if you haven't experienced failure, then you haven't tried really something that is challenging you enough. And you must learn to do 3 things: fail forward, fail fast, and fail frequently. At failing to do that, you rarely see success. Not the lasting kind, not the kind that you're seeking. And those are the things that I share with you, what some of the largest failures have been, even and including, having people steal money and all kinds of things that would normally take you out. I want you to know that they're normal and give you the ways to get through them. Not only that, but also understanding that your business can have a mission. And that's one of the things that I get excited about, is we do our best to provide clean, safe, affordable housing to people and teach people to do the same thing. So those are like the primary 2 things that we end up doing. But we want to show you step by step, what does it take to actually transform a neighborhood, a street, a single family house, if that's all you're after, or an apartment building, because that tends to be where we play a lot, in the apartment, in the commercial space. What is it going to take? And we've actually included some before and after photos as well, so that you can see the transformational process on a multi-unit complex and what that looks like. How developing relationships becomes another important key piece. And that becomes the number one skill that I see today that is missing in the age of Twitter and Facebook and social media. Don't get me wrong, great tools. However, It's interpersonal skills that are going by the wayside that you and I must develop as the entrepreneurs. We must get better at them, first with our team and also with our customers, and learning how to do that. There's just so many of those basic skill sets that have disappeared from our common language and just how to do it, that we don't know how to do it. And now we have to go back to a book. I've literally put in here the 10 steps required to create wealth in any economy, which is exactly why the title is what it is because this was all done during the 2008, issue. You'll call it the global economic crisis or whatever you want to call it. And we've built what we've built from when everything was supposedly in chaos. And one of the things that I hope everyone gets from this is, regardless of the situation that you're in, mind you, we were squatting in bank-owned property. We were technically homeless, a credit score of 398, couldn't put $75 together. I could not walk and talk simultaneously without fainting, and my wife was unable to eat or drink. Most people would say that that was not the time to start a business. However, it's what we did. And that's on top of all the other stuff that was going on in the economy. Real estate wasn't exactly the thing people wanted at that moment. The point is once you have the skill sets necessary, whether the market is going up, down, or sideways is irrelevant. What is relevant is, do you have the techniques, the tools, the ability to interpret what is going on around you? And that's what we've managed to collect and put in the book, so that you have the ability to know how to start from zero. And if you're not at zero, great. It'll improve where you already are, especially, as I said earlier, once you get over to chapter 9. And chapter 9 is where we really light it on fire, simply because that's what we call the profit analysis quadrant. It's a tool that I developed. People say it all the time. You can do a deal on the back of a napkin. You've heard those words before, and I know. However, nobody's shown you how to do it. And literally, I had no choice, so I had to figure out a way to talk to people, to invest in and raise capital and be able to do it on the back of a napkin, because you don't always have a PowerPoint presentation with you, and not everybody wants to sit through another video online. How are you going to do it? And what we've done is we've broken that down for you so that you can literally begin from just reading the book, taking the action steps, and putting your vision out there into the marketplace and actually making it happen.
So Jay, you just went through a ton of fantastic concept, and there's so much more than just, you titled it Cash Flow Diary, but there's so much mindset and attitude in what you just said, which I absolutely love, because I think it's one of the main pieces that people miss. Sometimes it's all about the X's and the O's. It's all about how to use WordPress, how to do this, how to write content, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. There's so much, like, do you have the right attitude? Do you have the mentality behind it? You hear all the time, and I don't know how accurate it is, but the things are 98% attitude and 2% technique, but we always just focus on the technique portion. But I say that because this next question, I feel like, is going to take it even a step further. And I'm asking that if the reader could only take away one concept, principle, or action item out of everything you just said, you just took the last 5 to 8 minutes to talk about a lot. And we're also talking about your entire book. If they could only take the one concept, principle, action out of your entire book, what would you personally want that to be? Wow.
Boiling it down to, does everybody have a challenge with this one?
Okay. Some people seem like it's easy, but for me, I think it's so if it's chock full of information, it's just like, how do you choose one over the other when it comes down to, those top three? But I think it'd be difficult.
Yeah. Well, here's where it is. It's not about you. Wealth is a team sport. Okay. And you learning how to gain access to the resources of others. And I'm not just talking about capital, but I'm talking about other people's knowledge, other people's time, other people's everything. That's the only reason that you and I are even talking today. Being able to have the input of those around me, either from church or family, is part of what makes me who I am today. But that same principle applied in business is why someone who, like I said, was squatting in bank-owned property without a college degree employs and writes the check for a number of people who have college degrees, and they don't squat in bank-owned property. They have a place to live and eat, and we provide clean, safe, affordable housing. We provide a number of jobs, and it's because of embracing the concept that I don't have to be the smartest person in the room, and wealth is a team sport. we can do it together. By myself, it's not going to go too well.
I love when you say wealth is a team sport, and it actually leads perfectly into our next question because I wrote that down. But I'm asking for a favorite quote, something you wrote that's in your book that has resonated well with your audience, and if you can tell me what it means to you.
Well, probably the most famous, because for those who have read the book, they have consistently said this one back to me. It is simply move at the speed of instruction. That is by far that the most famous quote that has come out in the book. What it simply means is oftentimes when we're learning something, we're trying to put our better idea, and that's usually what gets in the way. We think we know a better way. We come up with a new concept hits us. Somebody says, hey, do it this way. And we're like, well, I could do it that way, but if I did it this way, it's going to be even better. Well, imitate before you innovate. And that's what's important. If you can just move at the speed of instruction, it leaves no room for your better idea.
That's fantastic. And we'll put that in the show notes at the elpodcast.com because I love quotes are great, but you got to go back and reflect on them and figure out what they mean to you.
Sure.
You talk about moving at the speed of instruction. So this next question, we're not asking for, everyone asks for book recommendations, but we're not asking for just any. We're asking for the book recommendation. So a book and fiction, nonfiction, business, not business, doesn't matter. But I'm looking for the book, a book that you can recommend based on the way that it changed your life, created a paradigm shift or a lifestyle shift for you. Do you have one of those books?
There is only one book that answers that question. When you say paradigm, lifestyle, all those shifts, that it's the Bible. There is no other book that has had that kind of an impact. That across that many areas, so wide. So I'm sure you get that one a lot, but that is the book. If you're looking for the next book, you're going to pick up Awaken the Giant Within by Anthony Robbins.
Fantastic. I say the same thing because so many people want to get tied up in religious talk and that kind of stuff, but the actual principles, whether you wanted to believe it, the principles in the Bible, like what you're saying, are many of the principles that all these books, people will love these books, but they're the same principles. They didn't change. That's the thing. No. Principles didn't change. So yes, the Bible is not going to teach you how to put ads on Facebook, that kind of stuff that might not even exist a year or 10 years from now.
Right.
But the principles, the consistency there. But two fantastic books. So thank you very much. And Jay, before we depart,
yes,
can you recommend the best way for our listeners to not only get more information on you, but also get more information on your book, Cash Flow Diary?
Yeah, you can go straight over to cashflowdiary.com. That's where the website is if you want to get more information. We also produce a podcast that's simply cashflowdiarypodcast.com. And if you really want to get straight to the book, it's cashflowdiary.com/book.
Perfect. Jay, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your book with us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks again for listening in today. If you want more information on Jay or his book, Cash Flow Diary, check out the show notes at the elpodcast.com.
Looking for your next book idea? Head over to the elpodcast.com, where Wade shares his amazing resource, the top 10 business books recommended by over 500 entrepreneurs, with you for free. That's the elpodcast.com. Till the next time, keep it on the EL.